Boys and girls, people of all ages, welcome to Debate Crypto. In a world where hopium collides with common sense, it's your boy, CryptoKeeper. And as always, we got BlockchainCrusader, but we got a special guest in the house today, Mr. Alex Costa, better known as World War Bitcoin. Alex, how are you doing today, brother?
I am doing great. How could I not be doing great? I mean, we already talked about that, but Bitcoin at its all-time high. I know that you guys were bulls at the very lowest point, July 20th, when Bitcoin went down to $29,000.
Yeah.
You guys were bulls. I was a bull, and so I'm just vindicated. That's how I feel right now. I'm just vindicated. Everything that we talked about over the last few months. So
I love it. Miguel, how are you feeling, brother?
Dude, like I said, like Alex just finished saying, it's a bullish day, bro. We've been waiting for this day to break new all-time highs. We all knew that low 30K, high 20s was not going to be the end. We weren't going to see lower lows.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, get your weapons sharpened because it's time to go to war with Bitcoin. Let's get it. So, Alex, why don't you kick us off, man? So, tell me, like, overall, give me an outlook on this market as a whole. Where do you see things right now? Where they're headed? Give me a full outlook on what you.
All right.
Hold on.
So, this might be a hot topic to start out with right away, but I think Bitcoin's price is going to double from its previous all-time high. It's April 14th all-time high within the next 30 to 40 days. Ooh. And the reason why I say that is I made a video, I think it was last week, just talking about how every time Bitcoin crosses its previous all-time high, it doubles within a span of 10 to 34 days. So 2013, both times that it crossed the previous all-time high, it took 20 days the first time in the first blow off top in April, and then it took 10 days the second time, the blow off top in November. 2017 crossed its all-time high. It took 34 days. This last time in December of 2020, it took 22 days for Bitcoin to cross it to double its previous all-time high. I think it's going to take a little bit longer this time, given the size of the market cap, but I am expecting Bitcoin to be in late November, early December, around $130,000. So,
heck yeah!
How about that for starting off?
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Let me ask you this: Do you worry? I talk about this a lot, but when we look at like the price action, do you worry about diminishing returns as you look at like doubling? Do you worry about that at all?
Yeah, that's factored in. So, I mean, I've been saying a $200,000 peak. So let me think. So Bitcoin peaked in 2011 at $32. It did a 40x from that to its 2013 peak, did a 20x from its 2013 peak to its 2017 peak, and 10x. This is what I'm expecting, about a 10x from its 2017 peak to its 2021 peak. And so I'm factoring in diminishing returns when I say that. Nice. And honestly, I mean, so we talk about market cap. We talk about how, all these trillions of dollars. Do you really think these trillions of dollars are going to be injected in? But it's one of those things where I'm looking at illiquid supply. Illiquid supply is at its all-time high. The amount of money that it takes to move Bitcoin 1% is not nearly as much as people are thinking. So when people think that Bitcoin are at $200,000 market cap, that's about $3 trillion, a little over $3 trillion for market cap. For a $200,000 price is about a little over $3 trillion market cap. It doesn't take $2 trillion more of money injected into the system for us to get up to a $3 trillion market cap. I think a lot of people think that that's the case. Yeah. That's not the case. It takes much less than that to get.
Explain that for the beginner. Explain the illiquid supply to the beginner. We have a lot of beginners that watch our show. Explain what you mean by illiquid supply.
Yeah, sure. Illiquid supply is the amount of Bitcoin that is held. So it's the amount of Bitcoin that is not moving, essentially. And it's a time frame of, I think, 3 months. It might be more than that. I think it actually might be 6 months. There's Bitcoin that is holding still, that's not moving. And so that, if I were to pull up a glassnode.com chart, which costs $800 a month for their subscription, so I don't subscribe to them, but you would see that the illiquid supply, the amount of crypto that's not moving, is higher than it's ever been. And so I expect that to still go up a little bit, and then after a peak in a few months to drop down, but then to continue climbing and reaching new all-time highs, which means that it's going to cause a supply shock over time, over the next 4 years, over the next 10 years, to where it takes much less. There's, people think that there's going to be less volatility. They ask all the time, is it going to be less and less volatile? I actually think it could be more volatile over time because of that. It's just going to take small amounts of entries to move the price higher or lower. So,
yeah, dude, I totally agree with that, right? I totally agree with the volatility. I've been telling Nick all the time that I think this next bear market will be more volatile than any other bear market we've ever seen. But with that being said, right, you're talking about these price predictions, you're talking about these market caps. Why do we not think, or why do you not think that a super cycle is possible from now on with these new price action that we're seeing?
You asking me? Okay, yeah, looks like it's me.
Yeah.
I just don't think we're ready for that. I think one day that time will come. I think we just need a couple more cycles, maybe not even next cycle, but the cycle after that. At some point, I just think, especially given the opportunities, because you think through the smart money, they see movements up, wild movements up, as an opportunity to make money, but they also see wild movements down as an opportunity to make money too.
Yeah.
And so they're going to take those opportunities.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. I think that the other thing that I always factor in is that we are going to, and actually somebody said it in the chat, Ryan Bright said it in the chat. He said, I think a black swan event will come. I hate calling it that. I think it's freaking annoying. You hear black swan, but listen, here's what I will say. If you don't recognize that our economy as a whole, not just the United States, but all over the world, if you don't realize that there's turmoil, right, going on in this world that we live in right now, you're crazy, right? You have your head stuck up underneath a rock. And so for me, I would say maybe the biggest reason, other than Alex, I agree with you on a couple of the things that you just said, but other than those couple things, I think that we're going to run into something is going to happen, and that something is going to put the brakes on anything like a super cycle. Miguel, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so the thing about the super cycle, right, is we keep thinking about this not being a super cycle, thinking that the 4-year cycle will continue. Institutional money is here, they've been here, and institutional money likes to psychologically mess with people and start breaking the mold, right? If we obviously always know that it's going to be a 4-year cycle, then we can also manipulate the market and when to get out, when to get in. The institutional money doesn't want us to know when to get in and when to get out. So I think that changing the pace of what Bitcoin is doing and pushing us towards a super cycle is very possible. The thing about the Black Swan event, yes, I agree, right? Things don't look great for the economy. Things are, pretty risky when it comes to stuff like that. But we've been talking about this Black Swan event so often, and we're so ready to expect it already, that I think it might not happen. I think the Black Swan event is something that's unforeseeable, but we're foreseeing every bad possible thing to happen in the economy.
Whoa. How can you hold on?
We're foreseeing hyperinflation. We're foreseeing deflation. We're foreseeing some type of stock market crash and bubble. Okay. We're foreseeing the real estate market crashing. So if we're foreseeing all these things happening, it's not a Black Swan event. If we're all foreseeing it, it's only a Black Swan event that happens out of nowhere, where nobody expects, everybody gets left with their pants down, right?
Okay, so you're saying that you see the possibility of something happening, but you're saying we're already looking at those type of things, right?
Exactly.
We're already looking at Let's Go Brandon, right? We're already looking at just some of the chaos that we have going on right now in the world. I'm not going to get political, but I'm just saying. Yeah. That's already okay. I could see that.
I think that's being priced in, and I think that is kind of stuff like why we're kind of hedging more towards crypto and Bitcoin, and that's why it could take us into a super cycle, because we're expecting these things to happen.
Okay. So this is What If Wednesday, Alex. So okay. Play along with me here, okay?
Sure.
So what do the crypto markets as a whole look like if we did go into a super cycle right now? What does that look like? What if we did?
All right. So there's a couple of things that I could see unfolding if that's the case. And
Okay.
that is one, I mean, Bitcoin has hit an inflection point in terms of how much of its supply is available on exchanges. It is now going down and
Mhm.
it's going to trend down forever. And so that's why I do think a super cycle will one day come. I'm not entirely sold on that happening this time around,
Okay.
but this is something that's never happened before. It happened earlier this year to where the amount of Bitcoin available on exchanges reached a distinct peak. And now that's going down. And so you have Bitcoin where it's entering uncharted territory with its supply dynamics. I do think that there's going to be a day in the future when somebody with, let's say, an institution with $1 billion is going to have a very hard time actually buying $1 billion worth of Bitcoin without massively driving the price up. And so, you factor in those things. There's certainly a possibility, a scenario where that can happen. And then another thing that I think would happen that would help this super cycle idea unfold is ETH 2.0. I mean, because ETH 2.0, if it happens, I'm seriously, I'm wondering that their ability to move from proof of work to proof of stake, that they're going to run into some roadblocks. I mean, they've already started talking about delaying it. They were going to launch it later this year, but now it's looking more like June of 2022. And so I've talked about this a lot. I'll have no problem mentioning it again. If they're able to successfully do that, I mean, the supply crunch that's coming with Ethereum makes Bitcoin supply crunch look insane. I
Yeah.
mean, going from 12,800 ETH mined per day to 1,280 in staking rewards, that's like a halving on steroids. So if that can happen anytime soon, I mean, Bitcoin plus ETH, the power of those two driving the rest of the market, sure, there could be a super cycle. So what if, yeah, yes, it could happen. I'm a little skeptical that it's going to happen as like we all want that to happen now. We don't want to for Bitcoin to lose 80% of its value.
Right.
But there's a world where that possibility exists. I'll say that.
So you think that so you would think that if we did go into the super cycle as part of that, ETH is going to go absolutely insane and then some as well.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been like up until like if ETH 2.0, if it launched this year, I've been telling people that I think ETH would peak, above $10,000 maybe in January and then hit some kind of a bear market bottom and then do a massive fake out, bear market bottom at $5,000 or so, massive fake out, and then have a second peak in
Yeah.
2023. It all depends on the timing of that though. And so I'm a little bit skeptical that they're going to get their stuff in order to make that happen, to make that a reality soon.
Miguel, what are your thoughts on what if we did move into a super cycle?
So yeah, I like Alex was saying about the Ethereum crunch, right? I 100% agree with that, and I believe the combination of both Bitcoin and ETH, the supply shocks from both of these gigantic giants in the space, will definitely cause some level of super cycle to happen, right? It's
Right.
not a super cycle just for Bitcoin, and the alts get destroyed, and everybody forgets about them. At the same time, ETFs for Ethereum, right? That is coming.
Yeah.
That is the
Yeah.
next level for institutional money to be getting into Ethereum. Bitcoin's first because Bitcoin's the most easiest thing to understand, right? Digital gold, the hedge against the dollar, buy Bitcoin long term, you're solid. Ethereum is a little bit more complicated, smart contracts, right? dApps, DeFi, NFTs. So it's a more complicated thing to wrap your head around when you come from the legacy system. But those ETFs for Ethereum will happen, and this combination of both Bitcoin and ETH is going to definitely, I would believe, would definitely be the drivers of a super cycle for it. And the fact that the supply crunch, right? People holding Ethereum for staking way longer periods of time at the same time where it has a burning effect, right? We're going to see less and less supply of Ethereum on exchanges, even though Ethereum doesn't have a fixed supply like Bitcoin does. It's definitely going to get scarce on exchanges. So yeah, man, that's what I got to say about that.
My whole problem with the idea of a super cycle is just as simple as we we're moving into a time where these institutions are trying to take full on control of these markets. And I think that if they let it get away from them, that's when I think maybe you start heading towards a super cycle, or just way down the line, like Alex was talking about, right? I think the problem right now is they want to play the game. Alex said, and I think this is perfect. Everybody was talking about, and I was talking about this a while ago as well, about volatility slowing down because of the institution. I said, whoa, wait a minute. Volatility is going to ramp up because these institutions are here to play the game. We are playing T-ball. They are playing Major League Baseball. And as part of that, they are making money on the way up and the way down. So the problem with the super cycle theory in my estimation is that they are, at that point, we are continuing to go up, right? Albeit slowly, and they don't have that volatility to play off of and make these huge
No,
moves.
wait, hold on. See, that's where I disagree, right? I disagree because I think the super cycle will create that hyper volatility, because the super cycle is not going to be just Bitcoin going up only, right? Bitcoin's going to be going up 50%, dropping 40%, but it's going to be a cycle upward nonetheless, right? It's going to be going. I think the
You think
super
it's going to be
cycle
a
will.
massive channel?
Yes,
It's going
I
to go
think.
boom, 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 boom,
Yes, so
but
I
trending
think.
upward.
Yes, I think that the super cycle will cause this hyper volatility that we're talking about in this next bear market. But instead of being a bear market, I think it's going to be a super cycle where we're going to see gigantic drops, gigantic movements, and that's going to be the super cycle. Everyone's going to think of it as a bear market, but I think that's going to be the beginning of the super cycle.
How do you see that, Alex? If we're playing into the idea of the super, do you describe it more like what Miguel is saying, or more just a slow term upward movement?
Man, so there's some things that Miguel said that I definitely resonate with. I mean, the ETFs are a game changer. I mean, even this futures ETF, which I wasn't excited about at all, that launched on Tuesday. It's like the market makers have to buy spot Bitcoin, even with a futures ETF. And I have read reports. I'm not entire. I need to do more research on this. That they had to add 8,000 Bitcoin to their holdings yesterday. I
Really?
mean, so yeah. I mean, I
Oh,
heard
you know
that.
what? And the volume didn't show that because it was an OTC deal, is what you're saying,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So, Purpose Bitcoin ETF launched in Canada. Since their launch, which was only a few months ago, I think in February, they've added 22,000 Bitcoin to their holdings. The United States market is much larger. I want to say like 25 times larger than Canada's. And so what would that mean? Would that mean that a United States spot-based ETF would add 25 times the amount of Bitcoin to their holdings? That would be insane. I mean, how much is that? 25 times 20, that's 500,000 Bitcoin. I think that's right. 25 times 20,000. No, I think I don't know.
Yeah, you're
Somebody
right.
else do
You're
the
right.
math.
You're
All right,
right. That's
500,000
exactly right.
Bitcoin.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah, taking 500,000 of the 2.1 million Bitcoin that's available on exchanges off of it, that could do something crazy. And a United States spot-based ETF, and they're going to do how many? How many of them are going to get approved eventually? I mean, I'm hearing rumblings that there's going to be several that are about to be approved. So there's some credence to Miguel's argument. Absolutely.
Right.
I'm still skeptical. Sorry.
yeah. I mean, like I'm saying, I'm speaking for the super cycle, but I'm not 100% sold that this will happen. I just said that there's a very good possibility of it happening for these reasons, for the market makers, right? The institutional money wanting to break molds, and the fact that using the super cycle and creating this hyper volatility more than what we're seeing already will create more of a pause for retail, because they say, look how volatile it is. It's very risky for you guys to get in. It's not safe, right? Because if you go into a 2-3 year bear market where it's pretty much dead, they can't be saying it's too volatile because they had an 80% retracement over 3 years, right? But when you start talking about every 3 to 4 months having hyper volatility up and down, like what we saw in May, then we're jumping back up now, and then we jump even further in December, and then February, March, we're dropping low again, and then by maybe next August we're pumping like crazy again. They're gonna start saying, "Hey, this is way more volatile than ever now. So you gotta be very careful. Smart money, institutional money is not going to make it any safer for you, while they're still packing their bags.
So effectively, that would effectively make it. We always talk about exiting. Like, are we exiting? Are we long term hodling? Are we doing this, that, and the third? That would effectively boggle my plans, right? That would make it so that it would be very hard to re-enter the market. So thinking on those terms, Miguel, if you think on those terms, then you've got to say, listen, I'm in it for the long haul. I'm hodling to the end, because if that is what's going to be happening, it is going to be so hard to pick your entries if we've got that kind of craziness. Now, if you do pick a very correct entry, you're going to do very well hodling from there on out. I just think, bottom line, the ETFs, when it does happen, a spot ETF is just, I was talking about this on Around the Blockchain yesterday, and I think that overall it just introduces that class of investor that is not there right now. It introduces my uncle, it introduces my aunt, it introduces my grandparents, it introduces all these people that their financial advisor says, listen, there's this thing called Bitcoin. You don't need to understand it. There is some risk, with it, but we'd like to put some of your money there to work. What do you think? And they don't have to understand it. They don't have to understand how to operate a wallet. They don't have to understand anything else about the market, NFTs, nothing, right? It's just, hey, this is a place where you can park your money, make money, bring it up, bring it down, all that good. Well, hopefully just bring it up for them. That's what they want. But yeah, I could see it, Miguel. That's scary. So the super cycle idea under that theory makes me a little nervous. I think I need to run to the bathroom real quick. I'm getting a little nervous here.
Yeah, man. It is nervous, right? Like, when do you get out? When you don't want to sell too early, and then Bitcoin blasts off to 500,000. You're like, bro, I took profits at 100, right? Like, you don't want that to happen to you. You don't want to sell you don't want to either be left holding the bag at the top, right? Think you're going to go higher and higher, and it dumps on you either. So what do you do, right? And that's what I think is what's going to scare retail away from Bitcoin a little bit more, where institutional money is making all these plays. And I think that's part of the super cycle theory. The super cycle gets thrown around like it's this amazing thing, which it has amazing qualities about it, but it also has a lot of danger, and it's a kind of a way of putting the brakes on retail getting into crypto and Bitcoin because of that volatility. What do you think, Alex?
Yeah, I've been saying for months now that I have no intention of selling my Bitcoin, and it's exactly because of these kind of possibilities.
Zero.
And people,
diamond hands, baby.
Zero. Like, I want to hold it for 20 years. Okay. I buy Bitcoin for my kids, and they're holding it till they're adults. They have no choice. And I'm tired of the constant objections of like, why, if you think that when it's going to peak, and why not just sell at the top and then buy more at the bottom? It's just, that's not a game that I want to play with. I'll gladly do other things to make money. I will sell my altcoins. I'm just going to sell a large majority of my altcoins and try to buy those back in at the bottom. I'll even buy puts. I do some options trading. I'll buy puts on Bitcoin miners and ride that down, but I will not sell my Bitcoin. And so it's one of those things. It's just like, I wish people had.
Same thing.
ETH is a little bit, I'll sell a little bit of it. But I mean, I'm talking like 5-10%. But I mean, again, it's like, I'll still be making a killing on all these altcoins. And so that's fine with me to do that and to sell those, but just to not sell my Bitcoin and hold on to that for 20 years. And I will not regret that 20 years from now. I just won't. So
yeah, dude, I tell Nick all the time, right? It's like, ETH and Bitcoin have so much scarcity to me. It's like, people say, don't get married to your crypto. Dude, I'm married to my Bitcoin and my Ethereum, right? I see so much scarcity and so much value in the long term. That's like, it hurts me to think about selling them, to say, I'm going to take some early profits now and I'm going to gamble on the hope that the 4-year cycle continues. We're going to have a simple 80% retracement. I can double up my Bitcoin. I can double up my Ethereum and easy sailing. What if that doesn't happen? I don't think I'll be able to sleep right for a couple of years, man. If I lose that opportunity to be able to double up on Bitcoin and Ethereum because of the super cycle, or because of whatever happens that messes up the 4-year cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I struggle with this a lot. When I have people, when we do coaching and consulting, and we have people talk about what they should do, what they shouldn't do, while we're not giving financial advice, the reality is the safest long-term, absolutely answer any question you could possibly have is to buy and hold. Right.
Yeah.
But that's also doesn't solve people. A lot of people get into these markets with short-term issues in their life that they're trying to fix as a result of this. Now, as long as it's well known to that person, hey, this you are taking a gamble, even though it is a fabulous investment. You are taking a gamble trying to buy bottoms and sell tops, and buy bottoms and sell tops. So it's scary. I fight with myself about it all the time as to how much ETH I'm going to take off the table temporarily, Bitcoin off the table, whatever. And now, thank you very much, gentlemen. I'm going to be second guessing myself even more. So thank you very much.
Good.
Alex, so I wanted to ask you, I don't know
Yeah.
if we mentioned it earlier. So like, if we don't see a super cycle, do you just expect for the 4-year cycle to continuously stay the same, or do you expect something different to be happening?
Yeah,
Like,
sure.
how do you see this next bear market playing out if it's not a super cycle?
So Bitcoin peaked in 2013 on November 30th, and then on December 17th of 2017, I'm expecting a December peak this time around. And so there is some kind of lengthening going on with the cycles, because the first ever halving was in November of 2012. So that cycle took about a year, a little over a year. The next halving was in June of 2016. So that took about a year and a half. Then the most recent halving was in May of 2020. The halvings aren't set at 4 years. They do move up. I know you guys know that, but so it is lengthening in some regard, because if there's a peak in December this time around, that's about 18 months, not 18 months, 20 months. So it is getting longer and longer in that regard. I think the next halving will be in April or March of 2024. And then maybe the peak will be in early January of 2026, I think. Yeah, 2026. And so that's lengthening. And I think that that's going to continue in some regard, just a little bit longer each time within a 4-year window. As far as the bear market is concerned, I mean, really, the first year is going to suck. As far as if there is no super cycle, the first year is just going to be down the whole way, pretty much. I mean, there'll be ups and downs, but for the most part, it'll just be down. And the bear market bottom, in my opinion, is going to be whatever Bitcoin's 200-week moving average moves up to. And then that's going to be a phenomenal time to buy. So,
okay, so hold on. Say that again, Alex. You're saying
sure.
that your bear market bottom is going to be what? Say that again.
The 200-week simple moving average.
Okay.
Bitcoin in the bear markets has gone down so far. The small sample size that we have, it's always gone down to the 200-week simple moving average and then bounced off of that. So December of 2018, when it went to its bear market bottom of $3,000, that's where the 200-week simple moving average was. It was it wicked below it, but then didn't have a weekly. It's either a weekly or monthly close above that point or below that point. It's never had one of the two, weekly or monthly. It's never had a close below the 200-week simple moving average in its entire history. So if something similar plays out today, let's just say Bitcoin peaks at whatever in December, whatever the price is. Let's say it peaks in December. Take about a year to bleed out and get down to that 200-week simple moving average. Right now, the 200-week moving average is a little under $20,000. I would expect it to rise, that average to rise to about $50,000, and for Bitcoin to bounce off of that moving average and then move higher from there. So, I mean, the first year after the peaks, if Bitcoin peaks in December and altcoins peak in January, which is what I think is going to happen, it's just stay away. Don't, as far as buying cryptocurrency, any cryptocurrency, I would just say no. And then Bitcoin, in my opinion, would be the first one to get into. And
Okay.
then a lot of them, I think, are just going to flatline and lie dormant, and they won't be worth buying until around the next halving. Ethereum, I think, will be a good one to buy about a year and a half after it peaks or so. I need to look at the numbers with that. So it's different for every crypto, but it's kind of how
So
I see
let
it
me.
playing out.
I've kind of so we're talking about this the bear market upcoming. I have an interesting question for you because I've been around for years. Miguel's been around for years. You've been around for years. But I will tell you the one thing that I haven't been around for years as it relates to crypto, and that is the creator space. So here's my question, Alex. Well, first of all, hold on, Alex. How long have you been doing? How long have you been in the creator game?
About a year.
About a year. Okay. So
Yeah.
okay. Then you're not going to be able to really answer this question either, but we'll talk about it real quick. So, what ultimately we are building up our company, building up who we are, what we're doing, all of these great things in the YouTube space, in the TikTok space, in all of these socials, right? I
Yeah.
have heard that when things get absolutely wah, wah, that it can be tough. My question is, when things are just absolutely just down in the dumps, are you planning on continuing to push content?
Yes, I am. I
Good.
have thought about what I'm going to
What we're
push.
going to talk about?
What are we going to talk about? Yeah, when all this craziness ends. As much as I hate to say it, there's things that I would probably need to do that I'm not as well versed in. I mean, the thing
Okay.
that I constantly preach to people is buy and hold. I've already talked about writing puts on miners down to the bear market bottom. That's going
Okay.
to be my game plan. But there's the people who I think will do well, who won't have any issues creating content, are the more so the traders. Crypto Weatherman, CVO Crypto.
Yeah. Mhm.
They're going
Yep.
to be able to still make a killing off of whether it goes up, whether it goes down.
Right.
My hope is to learn a little bit more about their strategy, because I just don't want to be sitting on the sidelines for a year.
We
But I
literally just had
also
this exact same
really,
conversation. I'm so glad to hear you say that. Yeah.
yeah, I also don't want to mislead people.
Right.
I don't want people to listen to me and to make mistakes as I'm making mistakes, learning more about the trading side. So I do want to be extra cautious with that. I've thought about just doing deep dives on different cryptocurrencies, and talking about the fundamentals, probably more so on my YouTube channel with each one, so that I can start strategizing with my followers on, hey, here's what I'm going to load up on big time in the bear market. So it depends. I'm not entirely sure yet. I want to be helpful to people.
Yeah.
Exactly. We believe that educational content is the best type, right? And that's going to be the best time to do it throughout the bear markets, to really help people get educated, get prepared for the next cycle.
Yeah,
So I think that's the best time to learn about all these cryptos, is when they're not doing anything, when everybody is bored of investing. Time to start learning before we get starting to invest again.
And oh,
yeah,
what a better space it will be if I'm not trying to be funny, but we have so many people, and I know, Alex, you get it, tenfold. You've got a lot bigger following than I do on TikTok, but I know you get. I've watched your lives before where people, just, and they do it in mine too, but like shib, you know what I mean? Just asking the same about meme coins and pump coins and whatever. But how
yeah,
great would it be for us to get a more learned group of people over that time period, and we
sure,
do preach education. We do talk about, hey, if you can learn, you can then have a better game plan. The reason, guys, that Alex, myself, and Miguel are going to succeed is not just because we bought earlier than you, right? You have the same opportunity to succeed as well. It is still early. You have to educate yourself. You've got to. There's no other option. I'll take this quick break just to say, smash up the likes, guys. It would really help us out. If you X out of the live chat, smash the like. You can jump right back in. We appreciate it. If you're not subscribed, definitely do that for us as well. And make sure that you're following World War Bitcoin. If you're not already, make sure you fix yourself.
Yes. So I got a question for both of you.
Okay.
Either one can answer first. Doesn't matter. So somebody was asking in the comments. I can actually bring it up. So how do we see inflation affecting the market? right? How do we see inflation happening throughout the next year? Because we know they're going to keep printing money in the United States. We know that's going to keep happening. How would that be affecting Bitcoin and the crypto markets if we don't see a super cycle and we see a bear market? Do you see that changing things up, or how do you see that affecting crypto in general?
Alex, kick it off. Go ahead.
Oh man, excuse me. I mean, I think we are seeing that to an extent. I mean, some charts, just comparing this to 2017, it looks like in some regards that we are outperforming 2017, factoring in general diminishing returns. So it's this weird thing of like, I don't think the returns will diminish as much because of inflation. And then next time around 2024, I think it's something similar. That's as simple of an answer that I could give. I haven't really put a ton of thought into this. I haven't really seen much of an effect when it comes to inflation on crypto, because I mean, you look at the M2 money supply and the M1 money supply, like we're not anywhere near like previous highs. When you factor in the amount of dollars that are in the system, I mean, it would take Bitcoin getting up to over $100,000, but even much higher than that for us to see any kind of return, factoring in the M2 and M1 money supplies. And so I'm not sure. I'm not entirely sure.
You know, Miguel, I know you know where I'm about to head with this. I actually am going to be on a totally and I've heard BitBoy Crypto talk about this. I've heard Ben Armstrong talk about this, and I think it makes a lot of sense. And I actually was thinking this before I ever even heard him putting out this idea. I was kind of thinking it through and talking to Tim, which is Crypto Weatherman. I actually am subscribing to the idea, and I think that it's already started. And I'll tell you why in just a second. I'm subscribing to the idea that the only way to get our economy back together is to essentially crush it. And so I think that's the only way this happens. We are at a point. It's like when you're backed into a corner and there's 5 guys in front of you. The only way you're going to get out of that is you're going to get beat up, right? You might be able to fight your way through it, but you're going to get beat up. And so I'm actually subscribing to the idea that we may be headed towards deflation, which is terrible for the economy. People think at first, like, wait a minute, our money's going to be worth more. But the problem is, and let me explain why. I'll give you an example of why I think it's already happening. Lumber prices. I own a construction company. A lot of you know that. Lumber prices were absolutely, I'm talking about ungodly. Okay. I'm talking about $128 for a 2x12x20 pressure treated board, right? They are now, and that was just literally that. It was all the way up until 60 days ago. They were all the way up that high. Today, we just had to purchase some lumber, and that same board was $56. Okay. So what I'm trying to explain is that there is a reason for this. These lumber mills did not actually do what they said they were doing. They weren't actually not able to push the lumber out. I know people that work in the mills. They were taking advantage of a situation with our, the fog around the world, right? They were taking advantage of that. And so I think we're at a point now where things are going to have this, they're going to start to back off, and it's going to feel good. Okay. So let me explain this. It is going to feel good at first. You're going to be like right now for me, oh, lumber prices down. Okay. I could get with that. And then things will start to feel like they're coming off. And that's part of what is going to help our economy start to say, hey, we're recovering. But very quickly, we're going to go into what's called stagflation, which means people are not spending money because they believe and are figuring out that their money is going to be worth more 6 months ago or 6 months from now than it is today. And so what do? Well, if I'm going to buy a car, I'll just buy it in 6 months. It'll be less expensive. And then the biggest problem, and I'll finish it with this, the biggest problem with deflation when it gets there is the real value of debt becomes higher. So let me explain it. So if you owe 500K on a mortgage, right? And what will end up happening is these companies, while the dollar becomes more and more valuable, these companies are going to want to pay their employees less and less and less. But that price of that mortgage has not changed. People don't want to take a pay cut. They want pay raises. It doesn't matter that the prices are coming down. They are still going to want to continue to move onward and upward. and it messes with that real value of debt. It's going to feel good at first, and I think in the long term, it's going to be part of what crushes our economy. I don't know. That's a outside the box kind of opinion, but I just don't see how else we're going to get out of it.
Somebody has to stop the gravy train. I mean, so you talk about that, and that's fascinating. And I do agree in the sense that there's not going to be, there has to be some kind of struggle. And since 2008, the financial crisis, we have done everything we could to prevent that struggle. Yep. But how much does, and I have no problem putting my cards on the table and saying that Joe Biden is the worst president of all time. And how much will Joe Biden, and the next one, whoever comes after him, is going to be even worse. Okay, I'll say that. How much will he or the current administration be willing to allow that to happen? And because people are going to be furious with him, and they're going to not vote Democrat next time. They're going to vote for whoever is going to be providing, the next set of lies. That's going to
the next solution.
Exactly. So, somebody's going to have to sacrifice. Somebody's going to have to lay down his presidency or hers, whatever, to, and I don't know who's going to be willing to do that. Yeah.
I agree with that. I agree that, the next president, whoever it is, somebody needs to put down and make hard decisions that are not going to be politically in favor to them, their presidency, their party, whatever. Yeah. And nobody wants to do that. And that's the big problem, is nobody wants to make the hard decisions. Nobody wants to say, hey, we got to stop printing money. We got to start figuring out our problems with the debt situation. We got to cut back on spending. We got to do this. We got to do that. And force it to happen. And it's going to be short-term pain, right? Maybe their whole presidency, they might not even get reelected, but that pain will heal, and it'll become a better thing than, if you have a busted knee and you say, well, I'm just not going to have surgery because it's going to be too much of a painful recovery. I'm just going to keep on with my busted knee. That's kind of the mentality that we're in. Our economy is a busted knee that needs surgery for recovery. And the only way to do it is you're going to have short-term pain. You're going to have to go through that knee recovery that's going to suck. It's terribly painful.
And you know what I think is really cool about the world that we live in right now? Miguel very, very famously, if you ask me, said we live in a world of misinformation, not of information, but misinformation. Yeah. Okay, cool. But I think the cool thing about the world that we live in now is it is hip. It is cool to be financially literate, right? Well, with that being said, because it was not cool back when I was growing up, I'm 37 years old. And if I showed up to a party, talking to guys with a beer in my hand about, the debt ceiling, I'm getting kicked out of the party, right? The girls aren't talking to me. I'm out of here, right? And so it's become cool. Well, because of that, people are actually starting to understand some of these ideas as it relates to economics. So I think that will help propel at the point. Listen, there's always going to be half the people hate you, half the people love you, right? But at the point that we get to a crossroads, I think that enough people will at least understand, hey, we're not in a good spot. We do exactly what you said, Miguel. We've got to do the surgery, not just continuing on with the busted knee. I totally agree. Let me twist this back towards crypto a little bit. To finish this off, last question here. So I'll start off with you, Miguel, and then we'll go over to Alex. Tell me a price prediction that you would have, a bearish and a bullish price prediction. You ready for this? 2030. I want a bearish and a bullish. Listen, guys, we all know we're all speculating, okay? So if anybody comes at us in the comments and says that 10 years from now that we were wrong, hey, you can shove it, okay? Miguel, start us off. I want to hear what you got.
Yeah, so I think bullish, I think we're north of $1 million with Bitcoin. Easy. For 2030. I think bearish will honestly be 500K tops for Bitcoin. Ooh. Okay. That would be my bear scenario for Bitcoin by 2030.
Give me ETH too.
Ooh, ETH. So if we're north of $1 million by 2030, I think ETH will be somewhere in the range of maybe 80 to maybe 100K, depending how high Bitcoin goes. And bearish would probably be somewhere in the 40 to 50K
Okay. What you got, Alex?
All right. I'm a little bit more bullish than Miguel on that.
Okay.
So I'm
I
just
like to
trying
hear.
to
I like.
think.
I like that.
All
Yeah,
right.
we
All
do
right.
like that, by the way.
Yeah, I think it's going to flirt with $1 million next cycle. So
Oh, wow.
2025, sorry, 2029 would
That's what I like
be,
to
I
hear.
think, about 2.5 million. But then 2030 would be sometime in the bear market.
Well, so I meant
So
2029. I meant
okay,
I forgot that it hits at 2029. Yeah, so 2029
sure.
is what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah, 2028, 2029. Yeah,
Yeah.
it would be 2029. Yeah.
Yeah.
In 2030, now that I think about it, I mean, January of 2030 it might be when it peaks, or February, March, April.
Right,
So
right, right,
it
right,
doesn't
right.
matter. But yeah, 2.5 million then. 2.5 million for Bitcoin. Ethereum bullish would be depending on ETH 2.0 if they can get that launched. I mean, but then EIP 1559, just how deflationary will ETH become? That's the question.
Yep.
With those two factors in mind, that bullish, I mean, I could see it being half of Bitcoin's price. I do believe that a flippening will happen. And Ethereum's at 120 million supply right now. What if that went down to 60 million? It really could by that time. So 3 times as much Ethereum as Bitcoin, but bigger market cap would put
Okay.
it around half of Bitcoin's price. Bearish, none of this stuff happens. ETH 2.0 doesn't happen. They're just proof of work the entire way through. I'd say maybe about a tenth. So no, not maybe even less than a tenth. I don't know, maybe 100, 200,000, something like that. So
you're saying your bearish prediction on ETH is 100K
I'll say 100.
at that
Yeah.
point. Wow. Okay. Well, I'll give mine real quick. Man, I guess you guys are going to hate me. I and let me explain this real quick. The reason that you will hear me give more bearish type predictions, it is not that I'm a bear. It is my mind. Here's what my mind tells me. My mind tells me, Nick, if you believe that something is going up here, but you tell yourself that it's going to be here, so if it's something I can't physically control, if it's my business, if it's anything to do with my family, whatever, we're going to the moon, baby. Let's get it. And I can control that. When it comes to Bitcoin, when it comes to Ethereum, something that I can't control, my mind works better if I take what I hope and cut the hopium off and say, hey, I think we're going here. And then if we go here, great. It's just a little bit easier for me to process. So I think that 2030, my bullish prediction on Bitcoin is about 750 to a million. All right, probably more towards the million. That's my bullish, a million, and then my bearish is 250. And I think that the 250 would be, and that's a really low number compared to what most people are thinking. But the bearish scenario involves a lot of chaos as a result of worldwide economics. Okay. For ETH, ETH's my girlfriend. She's over here on my left-hand shoulder over here. And I think I'm much more bullish on ETH than I am Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin will kind of sizzle out a little bit at some point. And I don't mean sizzle out, but I more mean like just kind of become what it is, like digital gold, where I think ETH is going to continue to get built on. So my bullish prediction for ETH, if they're able to work out some of these gas fee problems, which I think will be huge, right? My bullish prediction for ETH in 2030 is about 150K. And my bearish prediction for 2030 is going to be about 30 or 40K. Again, these are all speculation, guys.
Yeah.
But they're fun speculation to have. Let me go to the chat. Miguel, is there anybody in the chat that had any questions that we wanted to address before we sign off?
Yeah. So somebody asked, what will be the bottom for Bitcoin and Ethereum? I'm assuming he's calling for this next bear market that's coming up.
Yeah.
What would be the bottoms for those
Let's
price
hear it,
levels?
Alex. Tell us what the bottom's looking like for you.
Yeah, so like I said, for Bitcoin, 200-week simple moving average, I mean, I think that's a really easy one to just track and follow.
Okay.
And it really depends on how high things get in the next few months.
Well, what would you think though? Like, what do you kind of, if you had your gut, what's your gut tell you? What do you think?
Yeah, so as far as dollar is concerned,
Yeah.
dollar amount,
Yeah.
maybe a little under 50,000.
Okay. Okay.
And then Ethereum, I'm just going to assume that I'm not going to factor ETH 2.0 in. That's a totally different thing. Maybe 2,500.
Man, well, I'm right with you. I literally, that's
Fire,
spot on
bro.
to what
That's fire.
Yeah, that's spot on what I was thinking as well.
All right.
Let's see. We got anything else in the?
Yeah, we got another question here that was actually pretty interesting. We got Ryan asking, do you see Congress selling bonds for crypto, for a crypto, but I guess, Bitcoin, Ethereum, something like that?
Okay, so can I hit that one first?
Yeah, go ahead, take it.
So I guess if I'm reading this correctly, do you think that they're asking, do I see Congress actually selling their own bonds for crypto? Is that how you guys are reading that?
Yeah, kind of like, they're seeing the problem that's happening. They're seeing that the government needs to make money somehow. So
okay, so I think it's a really interesting. I think it's a really interesting question. Here's what I think as it relates to that. I think that first of all, if you're talking about crypto as in like something decentralized like Bitcoin, what's the nice way to put it? Hell no. Because they do not absolutely want to take control out of their hands. Okay, so that's the first thing. But they are, and mark my words on this, you guys can timestamp this. We are going to have a CBDC that is going to be a worldwide currency. And I can see, as part of this magical plan to fix everything, I can see a CBDC being a way that they are going to try to market that. And I could see maybe some bond yields maybe being pegged with some CBDCs and just basically using it as a tool. But as far as just flat out selling it one for the other, no freaking way. What do you think, Alex?
I 100% agree with you. I just can't see them like this is, I mean, crypto is a disruptor that it just like Amazon was to Barnes and Noble, just like, to whatever Netflix to Blockbuster Video, Bitcoin, crypto in general takes power out of the government's hands. As far as what kind of regulation they're going to do as a result of that, we'll see down the line. But like, doing anything to enable that, no, I don't see that. But I was thinking along the same lines as you, CBDCs. I mean, one thing I learned a long time ago that I've stuck with is that governments do things much more poorly than private enterprises. It's like, you have to give people an incentive to do a good job, and you make a task force to creating a CBDC. It's like they're going to do a crappy job on it, but that's going to be their thing. That's going to be the thing that they what am I thinking, that they would do bonds on their own cryptocurrency, not on ours or anyone else's. Yeah.
What if, or do you guys foresee, with these centralized stablecoins, could they back it up by holding Bitcoin reserves and pegging Bitcoin to it to incentivize people to actually use this digital, dollar or
they
whatever?
Should.
But
they should be buying. No. Which means the answer is no. They should be buying as much crypto, as much Bitcoin and Ethereum as possible right now. But no, they won't.
So let me put one more spin on that. So what if they did start buying Bitcoin for this purpose? Would you then make the leap that it was created by the CIA?
They would already have to have bought, like, it was created by the CIA. It's like, why would they then wait for it to get up to extreme prices like this and then buy? You don't
think so? Let me ask you this: nothing to do with the CIA. You don't think that our government holds a bunch of Bitcoin right now?
No.
Okay. I think the Chinese government. Do you think the Chinese government does? Yes, absolutely. Okay. All right.
I think the U.S. government, if they don't own a bunch of Bitcoin, I think they're Satoshi Nakamoto, bro. Whether it's the government directly or the NSA or whatever, that $1 million that 1 million coins of Bitcoin in that one wallet is sus to me, bro. It's suspicious.
We've definitely already had that what if session, so we won't go down that.
I hope you guys are right. I really hope you're right. I just
I-
don't give the United States government that much credit.
That much credit.
Yeah.
I figured.
I mean,
that's
it's
what
not
you
the
were
government, it's not the politicians, it's not these people. It's
Sure.
the people in the in the back of the scene, behind the curtains, that are running the show, that nobody even know who they are,
Okay.
thinking about this thing in the future for the government to indirectly help the government. And I think one of the things that we're looking at is the United States now has, like, I think it's close to like 35% of the hashing power for Bitcoin. Is that correct? Is that wrong? I saw something about that. They're consuming hashing power, right? And it's one of the things that I mentioned after China dumped all the hashing power for Bitcoin. I said, hey, the United States needs to get on the ball and start doing this. And I think we're seeing it. I think they're trying to, get on the ball about it, because they see the potential for it.
Yeah, it's definitely been bullish for the United States that China actually, of all the China FUD we've had over the years, it is bullish for that China actually stepped away from mining, albeit I believe that they sent people out all over and kind of are doing their own little, mining, operations elsewhere. But so Miguel, hit this Ross McClelland comment real quick. It's at the top. If XRP doesn't run this bull run, will you hold it into the bear market in the hope the case settles in the bear market and runs then? I've got a bunch of XRP, and I am not the XRP. I'm not part of the even XRP army. I guess I should be because of the amount that I hold. But I'm holding XRP at this point. I'm either holding it to zero because it gets the death sentence, or it's going to run to $5 and above. I don't have this 589 idea, anything like that. I've got a sell order in for half my XRP at $5. So you can take that to the bank. But yes, the answer is yes. If it doesn't settle out and we go back into the bear market, absolutely. I mean, I bought 11 to 17 cents and it's only at $1. I mean, yeah, 10x is great, right? I'm not complaining about that. But what I'm saying is, when it does get settled, assuming that they win, which I believe probably all three of us believe that they will, it's gonna run. It's gonna run. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not an XRP person. I don't hold any XRP. I think XRP is trash, and supporting the legacy system.
I think that's what Alex thinks too.
I'm neutral towards XRP. I have a decent amount of XRP.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Yeah, it's so I would hold it if they didn't settle and it didn't pump. If it does pump, then yeah, I would sell it at the end. And I'm just trying to think. I mean, one thing that I've seen is, like, I've seen little flashes on any kind of positive news for Ripple that's happened over the last year. I've seen the potential for XRP to pump when this is actually over. I think is going to be amazing. So, I mean, I could see it in the middle of the bear market. Ripple wins. I could see it having just its own kind of brief moment where it pumps like crazy. With that being said, I do think that XRP is going to have some kind of a pump. I think it'll rise with the rest of the market, but we're going to find that out probably in November. I think alts are going to November is going to be a great month for alts, and if XRP just stays flat, that's not a good sign. So if that's the case, I'm holding. So
I'm with you.
So we got two more. We got two more questions.
Hit them.
More questions here. So the easiest one to answer is, can you explain the halving impact again? So the halving impact is basically Bitcoin supply gets cut in half. The miners that get rewarded a certain amount of Bitcoin, right now the reward is 6.25, I believe. In the next 2024, when the next halving event happens, that reward will be cut into 3 point whatever, and that causes a supply shock to happen over a long period of time, and then that starts to create, the same demand is there, but the supply is less, so the price starts to increase, just supply and demand one-on-one. And then the only other question that we have, and we'll finish it up with this, is how will blockchain affect real estate housing in the future?
Ooh, I like this one. I like
Go ahead.
this one.
Take it.
All right, cool. So, I will be brief with this, but ultimately, I think there's going to be two things that are going to be huge. First thing is NFTs. I truly believe that how home deeds are going to be in the form of NFTs. I feel like these real estate transactions are going to, in the future, move over and be on the blockchain. I think at the end of the day, if it's not blockchain, if it's directed acyclic graph or whatever the different options are, it's going to be something very similar. I think it's going to be bullish for the real estate market as a whole. I think it's going to make transactions much easier. I think we're going to have people that are actually taking loans decentrally, right? Taking decentralized loans against their Bitcoin, their ETH, all of that. And I know people are doing this right now, but what I'm saying is I think the whole operation, I think you'll be able to buy a house on the blockchain. I think you'll be able to have a loan from your crypto assets and make that literally a direct connection, not involving one of these third parties.
What about you, Alex? What do you think?
I mean, you're the man to answer that, CryptoKeeper, but so I won't give an answer for that one. That sounds great though. So
wait a minute. Do you not
yeah.
do you think that it's going to have an effect? Do you think that we're going to be do you think that it's going to change anything, or do you think we're going to stay with basically the system that we're in now?
No, I mean, everything that you said, I agree with. I mean, I don't have anything new to add. I haven't done deep dives in that, so I don't want to give like uninformed answers on that. So that's all.
No doubt. No doubt.
Yeah. I completely agree with CryptoKeeper as well on that one, right? NFTs,
Awesome.
digital ownership, right? We're seeing the metaverse. That's definitely all going to take effect on real estate.
Yeah.
So
and then also real estate in the metaverse is going to be
Oh,
big
yeah.
as well. Well, guys, listen, it has been a wonderful show. We thank you very much for coming and joining us. Alex, it's been a pleasure, dude. This is literally, I got it. Listen, if anybody else is listening and you've been on the show, I apologize. This has been my favorite of our streams, like legit, really has been. So thank you very much for coming on, Alex. We'll definitely try to snag you again and have you back on. Crypto fam, if nobody's told you before today, we love you. We hope you guys have a great evening. Make sure you smash the likes. Make sure you subscribe. Go follow Alex Costa, which is World War Bitcoin, on all the socials. And until next time, hodl
How
like it's hot.
hot.
We'll see you